Hello, and welcome to Musings of a Master Bee. I'm Meenal Desai, and here I share a medley of my unique experiences, shaped by students, teachers, and life in general. I welcome you to a very special episode of Parent Pathshala. Today we have as our guest somebody who dons many hats, somebody who's been an educator, who's been a skills trainer, whose poise and her skills, they put so many of us to unrest. She makes us sound crass and unpolished at times, and we better be careful about how we talk. She is a wonderful teacher, a teacher at heart, who's taught us that it's poems and not poems, who's taught me particularly how to open the videos and how to speak slowly and not rush through, something that I so desperately needed to learn. And let us begin our conversation with the one and only Gitansh.
Thank you.
If you could just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what brought you here. You started with young, tiny tots and you work with adults and elderly for that matter. So it would be great if you could tell us and our viewers about what brings you here.
Sure. Namaste, मैं हूँ गीताश from the Skills School and I'm a communication, English language, life, image, grooming, etiquette coach. So yes, I've been doing and working on a lot of aspects which are more closely related to life skills because I think those skills are very important and we need to somewhere acquire them through the journey of our life. These skills are not taught in schools, but we need to learn them. I always say your degree will land your resume on the table, but it is your soft skills which will land you in that job. So it is very important that you work on these skills, acquire them, and build on the journey of learning.
I remember years ago we met at your preschool,
Right.
Arshis Montessori.
Right.
So what led you to that and then from there to here? And
I always wanted to be a teacher.
okay.
Since childhood, it was my dream to be a teacher.
Wow. Okay.
I still remember I had my corner in my house where I used to, write with chalk, be the teacher. I used to make sure that my entire family, yes, my family members are sitting and I'm commanding over them as a teacherly language. And those, traits of extreme positive and commanding body language,
Okay.
like how you're supposed to behave. But yes, so I always wanted to be a teacher, and then I got into the art of understanding Montessori and got myself certified as a Montessori teacher, and then I got into teaching young minds. So starting from there, while I was on the journey of teaching young children, there were a lot of parents who approached me. So I think it was the exhibition of those traits in me that the parents saw that I can also hold their hand.
Okay.
So that's how I started a small group of only mothers where there were 8 of them. And fortunately, being blessed, if I may call so, out of those 8 parents, 4 of them have ventured out. They have their own businesses now, they're entrepreneurs.
Wow.
From merely homemakers to entrepreneurs is a great journey that
Absolutely.
they embarked on. And that gave me immense confidence and satisfaction to another level where I felt, I really can mentor and coach people.
Absolutely.
So then I started on the journey of understanding what adults want.
Okay.
And then I got into the idea of getting into coaching and mentoring full time.
So something that began as a small little experiment has today made you such a successful skills trainer, and so many people I'm sure have been able to change their life course because of that. Glad to hear that. But when you work with 2 different age groups, I'm sure there would be some peculiarities that would have stood out to you, and kind of working with the tiny tots requires, or the children requires a different kind of skill set versus working with, say, adults. So what is it, and if you could tell us a little about that?
See, one key common platform or common word, if I may say, is the adaptability to learn. That I think is common with any age group. Once you understand the need to learn, I think there is no looking back.
And between the two, who are more adaptable?
If you are an aware adult and you want to change yourself, you will be adaptable.
That's true.
we as teachers have to understand that what is the learning criteria of the child, how is the child going to learn, what is it the skills that the child needs to acquire right now. So with children it is more of understanding, whereas with adults it is more of adaptability because they're aware.
True. And on that front, I think just last week I held this video after a conversation with you, I guess, and that there's so many of us are kind of scared,
Yes.
are not ready to accept
Yes,
that
yes.
we need to learn, or that
Yes.
I'm not too old to learn. Something that should be natural, but it's not. Could you share a few examples of communication versus effective communication? You talk about effective communication.
Right.
So what exactly does that entail?
So to answer that question, I am going to ask you a question. So when you made this school, or let's say when you made this office, why did you make it like this?
To appeal to the wider audience, to appeal to children and the parents, right? To provide safer spaces where movement is easier possible, and
Right.
and something that invigorates the mind.
Right.
So yeah, have I landed it right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that means your school is communicating something.
Absolutely.
You're not speaking, but your school is.
True.
The building is.
The spaces.
The space is speaking. The infrastructure is speaking. A lot of people need to understand that communication is not limited to a certain thing.
Okay.
Communication is very vast.
Absolutely.
And we should not limit communication to a certain language, especially English.
Okay. Okay.
So when I talk about communication or effective communication, you could have just landed up this space with 4 walls, just a normal brick and mortar school, and it would have been serving the same purpose.
Maybe not.
Why?
Exactly, for this reason that the appeal that it makes
Exactly.
to the audience would not have
Exactly, because
existed.
you wanted to communicate something else,
True.
right? Similarly, when we communicate anything, it is more to do with our internal thing, what we want to say. Everything is alignment. Our thoughts to how we are speaking, to how we are putting our point across, to what is the mood currently we are having. The alignment of all of that is communication.
Okay.
So once we are aligned, we are able to communicate effectively. If I am angry, if I have something going on in my head right now, I'm sitting here and talking to you, I might not be able to put my point across well. So that is communication and effective communication.
Okay.
Also, if you are listening to me actively, I am able to put my point across actively. So we are having an effective communication.
So communication is not just talking; it is also listening.
Absolutely. See, that's, I think, yesterday I put it on my Insta story that what is the difference between speak and talk.
Okay.
So speak is only information, where you are speaking to a larger audience.
True.
But talking is when you are conversing and you have a listener, and that is what creates the effectiveness of it.
What role does body language have in communication?
So there is this theory by Albert Mehrabian. He had studied visual communication and communication per se. And he came up that our body language, our clothing, the way we walk, the way our hair is, communicates 58%. And apart from that, our tone, tonality, the pitch, that contributes to another 37-38%.
So
Our words are only 7 to 8%.
wow.
So as normal human behavior or how human brain works, it is usually attracted to a person who's more aligned. Unless and until you have reached that level where you don't need to prove your body language.
Okay, that's a different level.
That's a different level altogether. And 0.1% of people reach there.
True.
But everyone in our daily lives is a struggle, and we need to put our point across in a more positive and effective manner.
That also brings me to this, Gitash. Is it always possible to be in that sort of control? What happens is, say I'm preparing for a speech. If I am preparing for a particular address, I'm going to meet. For a meeting, I might have prepared. But your chance conversations, your water cooler moments, the idea of just bumping into each other within the family. So communication is required at all such places. So how do you then kind of ingrain that? Because for the formal moments, I might have been able to do some homework. Like when I'm shooting a video, I would have done the homework. But if you meet me halfway through the hall, you're probably going to catch me off guard, and जो भी मेरा pronunciation सही गलत है,
वो बाहर आने वाला है. So I'm just wondering, how does one keep?
No, but then it's a habit you need to inculcate.
Okay.
I think these are simple things that you need to have it in your daily life. It is not something, it's not a rocket science, or it's not something that you really need to have a degree in.
Okay.
But these are basic habits. I mean, like, why can't you put your spine straight and sit? This is basic. You know, you don't need to work on it. I mean, like, it's you.
Oh, you need to.
Yeah, you need to constantly remind your
Remind
brain.
yourself.
So I always tell my clients and my students who come to me that walk as if 3 people are walking behind you, so that you are very conscious of how you're walking. And the best way to maintain a calm and confident walk is always count your steps. Once you're counting your steps, you're able to have more control over your body. Because our mind is in a rush at times, and that is exhibiting in our body language.
True.
So you need to control a lot of things. You need to calm down, slow down, understand your speed, and do things deliberately slowly that you are doing, because that will communicate confidence. So I think once you get into the habit of it, it is very easy. It's just that you need to start. And with women, I always say wear heels, because your heels are going to give you your spine a straight posture, because you're conscious. And with men, I'm always like, wear shoes which has tight shoelaces, so that you know that you are, you know, your feet are tight, because that is what is commanding, right?
Absolutely. So coming to the words part of it, we spoke about the body language and all. English is a major concern when it comes to India and Indians and all that. We see so many of our parents, when their children start to speak in English, suddenly they feel like, oh, everything has been achieved. That's one thing that it's like this benchmark that everybody wants to kind of get there. Equally true is that while English is important, so is the pronunciation, so is the way you speak English. But not everybody has that ability or has that exposure. So how does one deal with it? How important is it? What else can we do about it?
Very rightly said. See, English is a second language for us, and it is going to remain a second language forever, unless our home culture suddenly decides one day that everybody is going to speak in English. English is a global language. We need to work on it. We need to practice on this, because it's the most widely accepted language and most spoken language, if I may say so. So yes, you need to work. If you talk career-wise, how important it is very important.
Okay.
Because end of the day, when you are in an organization, you will be required to speak in a language which is accepted by all. You cannot speak native.
Okay.
And as you pointed out towards the pronunciation part, there are 2 aspects to it. One, either people get into the habit of speaking slang language, which is that they grab from the internet just to improve on their speaking skills. They tend to copy the American accent or the Australian accent, which doesn't work, because they're trying hard to speak in English. Problem is that they're not working on the actual language skill or pronunciation skill. They're just copying something which is not individual and which is sounding fake. Second is the native. They get into the native accent.
True. India has a specific accent.
Yeah, so you'll have either a Gujarati accent to your English, you'll have a Bengali accent to your English, or a Punjabi accent to
South
your
Indian.
English.
Yeah.
South Indian, yes. Yeah. So either you get into the native part of it. But either ways, you need to understand that although in India your native will be accepted at some point of the time, because people will understand your background, but you still need to work on it. See, you cannot, when we say we write emails, we cannot go wrong with grammar, right? We need to be very specific. Similarly, when we are speaking, we need to be sure of how we are speaking. We need to speak correct. Nobody is asking you to enhance your vocabulary and speak words which are extremely out of the box, but at least whatever you know, you need to speak right.
Clear.
Yeah, that is what is or should be taken care of.
True.
And you can obviously enhance, you can add on to the bag of vocabulary whatever and whenever, but at least speak right. Speak smart, speak right is very important.
You don't have to be the Shashi Tharoor.
You don't have to be.
But
yes.
At least you cannot be disrespecting the
Yes,
language. I've been told I'm a grammar Nazi, and I've sent back emails and I've corrected people on the go when they've written wrong emails, or a single S misplaced sometimes just makes me lose my mind at times.
Yes.
So yeah, one of the things we do here is compulsorily everybody will install Grammarly.
Somebody called me up from there. She's a soft skills trainer and she wanted some mentorship on how to go about her soft skills training. And she's a permanent faculty at the school and she has this issue that the children are not speaking in English.
Sure.
So she's like, how do we get the children to speak in English? So I was like, look around. Is everyone around the children speaking in English? If they are not, what is your expectation of the children? So if you are not correcting these small little email errors, everybody will be like, it's okay.
It's acceptable.
So the other day somebody actually asked me, we were talking about pronunciation. So we just happened to have this conversation and I asked that what is TORTOISE, the most common mispronounced word. And they said tortoise. So I said, no, it's not tortoise, it's tortoise. So he said, but लोगों को क्या पता चलता है? लोग तो tortoise ही समझते हैं. So I said, exactly. So why don't you bring that change?
Awareness.
Yeah, you know. Let them ask you, let them question you that whether it is tortoise or tortoise, you know. So don't make it a language of convenience. Respect the language as it is.
Absolutely. Some of the most mispronounced or wrongly pronounced words in English language,
Yes.
tortoise, it could be one of them.
Yes. So many of them there is.
But general ones that you come across.
Onion.
Okay.
I think that's the most.
Onion and
Onion.
And please share the correct pronunciation for all of us.
Yeah, so it's onion, it's not onion. It's data, not data. Then it's, what are the other words? It's bowl, not bowl.
I mean,
Yeah?
towel.
Yeah, towel.
I think I've come across that also a
Yeah.
lot of times. But
Oven, it's not oven, it's oven.
okay.
Yeah, so actually there are so many of them. Day before yesterday, today also did a video on mispronounced words. I think pronunciation. It is not pronunciation.
So, a standard school curriculum usually would lay a lot of emphasis on grammar and the formal structure of the sentences and all. How important is it in learning a language, especially a foreign language like English?
It is very important, but it's just that the school needs to understand that there is another way of teaching grammar.
Okay.
The conventional way where we come across of teaching noun, verbs, it is important for the children to get aware. But at the end of the day, if I ask you what is the past participle in this sentence, it would never make a sense to
Please
you.
don't ask.
Exactly. Like how mathematics is, I don't remember a thing of trigonometry what I did, So, same goes with the language. The understanding here is that the child should be speaking and writing right. That only will happen once the child is so much aware and so much given to the child. That language has to be given to the child.
Okay.
You should be exposed to the language.
And how do we do that?
So yeah, with schools, I think the best way is the teachers. They need to interact with the students in that fashion. So that is how they learn and adapt to a language. Hindi hai, Gujarati hai. How do we speak correct grammar there?
It's listening first.
It's listening first, yeah.
Sure.
So the more we will listen, the more we will learn. It's always like that. So we need to create an environment where the children are listening and learning. It has to be an acquired skill. The best way for us as Indians, which English is a second language to us, is watch with subtitles.
Oh.
That is my personal experience because subtitles is going to give you understanding of how you can actually use words in a different way.
Sure.
One, you will know how the sentence is formed. Two, you will understand how the tone was. You need to put a lot of emotion in whatever you are speaking. Your language cannot be flat at any point of time.
Absolutely.
So the intonation, the modulation, all of that only comes once we listen and we see at the same time. So we are listening to the English, we are reading to the English that is in the subtitles, and it creates more. You have to sit with that frame of mind that you are learning.
Absolutely. It's not just the entertainment part that we're looking
yes,
at.
yeah, it's not leisure watching.
True.
Yeah, it has to be taken as a learning that you're sitting and learning something. And I think it gets into a habit after a while.
I also know of a few people, men, who said my English improved immensely after I started hearing cricket commentary in English versus Hindi.
Yeah.
So he's like, I was so used to the Hindi part of it, and when I switched to English,
Right.
I suddenly, because I was interested in cricket,
Right.
that became a means for me to improve my English, and I found it very fascinating.
Yes,
that, you know,
it does.
It's just,
Yes, it does help a lot.
if you could suggest a few resources in the form of books, shows, anything that our viewers are we could use, something that you would vouch by and say that okay, these are the things that you must be using for it.
See, there is not one thing or one channel I can say. I think the age of digitalization and so much available online, find your interest first. I think I cannot say that this is you should be reading and this is you shouldn't be reading.
Okay.
For instance, some people like to read only Indian authors, or some people like to listen to only Indian people
Okay.
speaking. So find your inspiration, find whom you like listening to, what is your area of reading, what is your interest, and then dwell deeper into it.
Okay.
So once you know your interest, it's far more easier for you to relate to that.
Absolutely, like the cricket example. that you
Exactly.
gave.
So I think just find your interest and go on that path. That's about it.
Okay. And for the communication part, where we are talking about not just the spoken word, but also the body language, the whole personality.
Everything. Your body language counts, your listening counts, what are you wearing.
So for that also, it would be better to find somebody that you kind of aspire to.
Absolutely.
And,
I always say, so people come up to me and they ask me, मुझे personality development करना है, कैसे करते हैं? So I said, primarily personality development is not outer. It is very much inner.
Sure.
Whatever you are today, you are exhibiting outside is because what you feel from inside. So once you work on your inside, automatically everything is going to exhibit outside. So let's start working reverse. You need to work on your inside. So my favorite first lesson to personality development is you make a list of two things. Two lists you need to make. One is the things that you like about yourself.
Okay.
It could be anything. I'm a good cook. I'm very well organized. I like when I speak in Hindi. And second, you make a list which you don't like, you want to improve. Maybe, I procrastinate a lot. Make a list of things that you dislike about yourself.
Okay.
And list one, you need to enhance. And list two, you need to delete. You start becoming more self-aware.
Absolutely.
So many times we are not aware of our own self. आज मुझे somebody the other day asked me, उस दिन तो आपने बोला था आपको ये पसंद है, ऐसे I evolved, अब मुझे नहीं पसंद है.
Absolutely. Things that sounded so very fascinating in your young age might not be so deep.
Maybe yesterday I liked something and today I don't like it. And that's the key to step one, as to how will you understand yourself first.
I think that's the key to everything, all kind of learning, all kinds of achievements. Everything begins from within, and that's why we also have this program, The Leader in Me, which talks about the 7 habits. So it's a mandatory program for all our students, and a part of it is also the difference between personality ethic and character ethic, and where he talks about it. But yes, until and unless we pay attention to what is within, it will just be futile to kind of keep working.
Absolutely.
And that brings me to a rapid fire round. The most common reason why people choose to work on communication in English.
In acceptance.
Okay. I had hoped for the answers like career and promotions and all that, but acceptance, so that goes down so much deeper than just English as a language. Great. The most well-spoken personality.
I love Oprah.
Is it?
I adore her.
Okay. And the most terribly spoken personality.
I think I better not name anyone.
A misused phrase that makes you cringe, something that you hear and you like, oh, this is not to be used in this.
There are so many phrases, words, like anyways. Like what is anyways? It's just anyway. People write ALRIGHT. It's not, it's ALL space RIGHT.
Anyway, we move forward to the next one. If you could restart your career, or if you could really look at it, what would you do different? You would?
No, I think I would not do anything differently. It has been a beautiful journey for me.
Okay.
I've learned a lot of experience, lot of learning. I don't want to change it.
You wouldn't change?
Yeah, no.
Wow. A movie that makes you smile.
Jab we met.
Okay, it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And your go-to resource when it comes to verifying or authenticating something?
Books are my all-time favorite resources. Internet is always there, it's an extra help for me. But I always value what is published in pages more.
Okay.
That's my kind of.
Great.
Yeah.
And the last one, phrases cooked up indigenously by us Indians.
But fortunately, if you speak about phrases that Indians have coined, they actually made it to the list, yeah.
Huh. Some examples.
Like khaki,
Okay.
and bazaar.
Well, that's it from our end. Anything else you would want to share with us, for our viewers, for us, for the mothers, for the children? Okay.
So I think we all just need to understand who we are as a person and evolve. See, education is one time, learning is evergreen. You can learn at any age, at any point of time, any space you are in, any profession you are in. The idea is to how you would want to upskill yourself. Your children are on a journey, you are too on a journey. So I think it's important that all of us start understanding the need of learning and becoming a better person by having these small skills which we might have missed out on our journey. And these small skills are what makes us a very positive person. So I think we should just work on them and acquire them.